My name is Clotilde Ngonitsa-Shirfasha, a young entrepreneur. We manufacture bags, jackets, and accessories with a big bias towards African print. So our main target market is the adventurers, the fun-loving. So our bags and our jackets and our accessories mainly reflect on that. I got into entrepreneurship in order to manage financial and time freedom, which I'm not sure now if that's the real case. And I also got into entrepreneurship because of the necessity. Zimbabwe is not all roses. So as I was on my industrial attachment and later at work, I found the need to have a supplementary income. My journey has been a major learning curve with lots and lots of experiences, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Hi, my name is Kudakwashe Juta, and I'm the owner of Inklubb T-shirt printing, Skipper Tees, and African Nation. We manufacture and sell T-shirts. So our three brands have different focuses. Inklubb is for when we do work for corporates. Skipper Tees is what you see now, where we sell blanks, and then we've got African Nation, where we sell and promote the brand Zimbabwe. I was working a formal job and met someone. So this person ended up being my mentor, and I saw him run his own businesses, and that motivated me to start my own. What's most interesting about our business is that we're completely self-taught. We have no formal education. I studied finance, but no one taught me about manufacturing. Our employees, most of them are self-taught as well. They come with no skills. We only judge a person based on character when they come. So we can teach you how to sew, we can teach you how to design, we can teach you how to print, we can teach you how to sell. We don't buy the T-shirts, we manufacture them. We don't get our T-shirts printed elsewhere, we print them in-house. We don't get someone else to sell the T-shirts for us, we sell them ourselves. We don't get someone else to market the T-shirts for us online. We do that by ourselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Grace Zichao. I'm the founder of Grace Beauty Chic, a company that distributes beauty and wellness essentials as well as provides wellness experiences. I'm also a certified beauty therapist and wellness consultant. So I'm a person who generally likes challenges. I'm very creative. I like to create something of my own. As young entrepreneurs, I wish we could talk more about money and be transparent when it comes to money. It seems like whenever you say the dollar word or talk about money, people just hide with the truths that they know or what they're doing with their money. I wish I had more resources of knowing, fine, if I make a certain amount of money, what will I do with it? If I have $100, how can I grow it? If I have $1,000, how can I grow it? That conversation is not happening. Well, in my circles, it's not happening. So I wish we had more opportunities to just discuss if you do manage to make money, what then can you do with it in a way that will benefit you or grow your business?
My name is Paul Tawanda Nyamadzao, founder of the Sparkle Drive, a mobile car wash system that integrates car valet and disinfecting at the comfort of your home. So we looked at one of the critical services around our communities, which is car valeting and disinfecting, which is something that is still a critical need given that the world is slowly opening up. And we decided to give people the service of car washing and car valeting and disinfecting at the comfort of their homes. The most important part is starting. Procrastination kills. Once you plunge yourself into the system, you grow, you get to learn new things, you get to experience things that you never knew you would if you were in the comfort of your own space. You need to interact with people. People need to tell you what they're expecting from your business. People need to tell you what the outcome they need from you is. And that is what grows you. That is what builds your brand. That is what builds your business. So I encourage everyone to tune in on Wednesday, 6 p.m. for the next episode of Frankly Speaking.
This week, in the Frankly Speaking series, we introduce the red chair. One of our panelists will sit in this chair to give us what the other side of the story under discussion is. We hope you can join us, and together we can learn and enjoy.
The one thing I wish someone had told me when I started my business was that cash flow is king and it's the lifeline of a business. Never accept credit, but always expect credit from your suppliers. I wish I had started my business a lot younger. I'm 42 now. If I had started this when I was 20 or 22, I would have given myself 20 years extra, number one. Number two, I would have had a lot more energy and time. It's almost like my biggest regret is that I started so late, and I wish I had started sooner. To survive in Zimbabwean business, you really have to look at the opportunities more than you look at the hurdles. And trust me, there is a lot of opportunities within the chaos. My name is Kodakwashe, the vendor-in-chief of Fresh in a Box. Catch me this Wednesday on Frankly Speaking between 6 and 7:30 on the links provided.
Good evening, and welcome to the third episode of the Frankly Speaking webinar. Today, we're discussing agribusiness, the high road that it is in Zimbabwe. I'd like to hand you over to Trinus now, our moderator, and he'll introduce our panelists.
We're maskless.
Greetings. Good evening. Welcome to this auspicious opportunity where people can learn how to tackle the modern day challenges. My name is Tatenda Trinus Longo, but you can call me the Juggernaut. I'm very excited to be a part of this third episode of Frankly Speaking. In these unprecedented times of COVID-19, what other language can we speak besides frank language? We have an amazing opportunity right here in Zimbabwe, but of course you are joining us from across the globe to talk about how to tackle the modern day challenges, and today particularly entrepreneurship. Can people get into business? Can they thrive and not just survive? And how can they do it? I'm very excited with a powerful panel this evening, amazing young entrepreneurs, young dynamic entrepreneurs that have moved and shaken the economy of Zimbabwe and consequently the economy of Africa. I will not introduce them myself, but I'm going to allow each panelist to introduce themselves. So they have just a minute or two to introduce themselves to the world and tell us a bit about what they do in just 1 to 2 minutes. Panelists, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where do we start? Let's start. Okay, I want to honor the lady. So let me honor the lady, because the gents are going to the lady. We'll honor the female entrepreneur here who's literally balancing our agenda, Evangelista. Could you please tell us more than just your name?
Thank you very much, and happy Women's Month to every woman out there. So my name is Evangelista Chekera. I'm the founder and lead innovator of Passion Poultry Equipment, where we design, manufacture, and distribute innovative poultry equipment, focusing more on chick brooding devices, as well as poultry slaughtering devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Evangelista. Now we can move on to the gents, as she's the only female entrepreneur on this particular platform. I'll go right opposite to where I am, Simba. Tell us more than just Simba.
My name is Simba Muriro. I am General Manager of Rio Energy Holdings. We specialize in solar solutions for mines, particularly our own at Rio Zim Limited, as well as we're developing a thermal power project in the same area of Zimbabwe. I do quite a bit of work mentoring SMEs for the likes of the Green Enterprise under ILO, African Union Industrial Week. We've also done some work with what you call this, the World Economic Forum as part of the Global Future Council for Entrepreneurship. I love fishing, tennis, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
Awesome. So we have a tennis match there and probably go for fishing over the weekend. Entrepreneurs are disruptive, so we're not going to go with the apparent order. We want to jump to the other side of the room and bring this entrepreneur, Leslie.
Thank you. My name is Leslie Marangi. I'm the Managing Director of Lifetime Foods. Lifetime Foods is an agro-based manufacturing business which was established in 2018. We've managed to transform the space in terms of packaging, branding, and the quality of the product. Our main focus really is to resolve the problem of non-communicable diseases and just try to bring sanity to that space. I was last year the most influential corporate director in the food industry, and this year I'm going to feature on the CEO magazine, the global CEO magazine, where Steve Jobs featured. Not because there's a lot of fancy things that I've done, but because I'm operating in Zimbabwe. I think that's the biggest thing that is happening right now. I think, thank you for now.
Talk about operating in Zimbabwe, what a dynamic economy it is. But in as much as we have those challenges in these times, there's someone who's fresh in a box. Fresh in a box, Kuda. Tell us more than just Kuda.
Thank you, guys. My name is Kuda Kwashe. I represent 90% of the population. I'm a vendor. We sell stuff, and we sell stuff using modern technology, using these smart little devices that are more powerful than what's sent men to the moon. And we're trying to revolutionize the space to make it easier and faster to help people and be really convenient in the logistics and tech space. Fresh in a Box is a company that we sell great vegetables, great produce, and take it directly to people's houses and try and eliminate the middlemen, the makoronyera, who have ruined that space for everybody. And also, we believe that, with the amount of great fresh food that Zimbabwe grows, we are the breadbasket of Africa. That basket says cliche, basket case, we are the breadbasket of Africa, the most dance per capita. We love agriculture, and we're really trying to champion getting young people to love farming, love doing, producing great food and getting great food to people's doorsteps as quickly as possible.
Wow. Thank you very much, Kuda, for that. And I remember, as you mentioned, one time I was chatting with some vendors, and from that conversation, we learned that actually the first rocket to be sent on the moon, they used about 200 megabytes of data worth
of technology to send the rocket to the moon. Now we are moving around with 1 terabyte of data, or rather connectivity in our pockets. What can we do with that?
The answer is everything. You can do anything.
We can do anything, absolutely. It's like more than 10,000 there. So I want to now dive straight into the panel where we discuss. The aim of this conversation is to bridge the gap between theory and reality, and also allay the fears that young people have to get into business. With our new economic environment, business is definitely on the menu for those that have graduated, those that have finished high school, in terms of creating an income and a livelihood from themselves. So I want to bring the first question. How we'll do it is there's specific questions targeted to specific entrepreneurs, but when I come to you and you've got a bit of something to say about the previous question, you can go ahead because some of them are basic. The first one is on getting started. I know as a matter of fact that what stops most people is the start. You don't get started. I want to bring it to the lady in the room. What was the trickiest part of getting started in terms of business? How did you start? How did you overcome the fear to start?
Okay, thank you for that question. So how I started? Actually, it was in 2016 and I couldn't get a job. And the only thing I knew was poultry because of my background. My father was a farmer and we were really involved in the poultry industry in terms of broiler keeping, layer management, roadrunner management. Yes, I knew how to take care of chickens, but I didn't want to do it like the old way stuff because we didn't have proper equipment to do like the poultry rearing. So it was inconvenient and tiresome. I didn't like the whole process. But that was the only thing I could do at that point that could bring money for me. So I decided to like look for equipment that could ease the process of rearing chickens. And I did a little bit of research. Mind you, I used Facebook at that time to do my research on how other countries were looking after their birds, because I really knew that other people in other countries had mechanisms to ease the process of rearing these birds, something that I wouldn't mind purchasing if I got the opportunity to get that stuff. I found out that in places like the UK, the USA, they had like equipment for small scale farmers in terms of, excuse me, keeping their chicks warm, also like slaughtering their birds, which like eased the whole process and it was convenient. I looked for that equipment in Zimbabwe and I couldn't find any for small scale farmers because I wanted to start with 50 birds. That's what I could afford at that time. I actually looked for the equipment within the SADC region. I couldn't find it. So the only plan I had was to try and figure out if I could manufacture something for myself. So at that point, I just looked at the designs and I thought, actually, I can make this stuff, considering that then my uncle was a fabricator. He could actually assist me come up with equipment for my small-scale backyard farm, and I could start the project. I approached him, and he said yes, he helped me. We made, I think, 5 devices for slaughtering. That's what I started with. And I started using them, and they worked for me. And then, as you know, like, within each and every neighborhood, there are a couple of broiler farmers. So they came to my place, I showed them how the slaughtering devices like work, and they loved it. And guess what? They were willing to pay for that equipment if I manufacture something for them. Then I was like, I can actually make another like income stream by selling equipment. So I started making for farmers within my community. So, and they bought, and it was good. And then at that point, I actually decided to consult someone who was into business management because I wanted to grow the broiler industry, come up with smart broiler farms. And I consulted him and actually mentioned that I have this device that I managed to make and I've been selling to a few farmers. I think I only sold to 5 farmers. And he's like, but you're onto something. Why don't you like go to feed companies and see if they are willing to sell the product. So I went to a couple of feed companies within Zimbabwe. They were not interested in my product. One, because it didn't look like really nice. Yes, it was functioning properly,
but the appearance was not.
It was bad. It was bad. So I also decided to start learning more about broilers so that I become the best broiler farmer in Zimbabwe. That was my aim. And I went for training with a certain feed company. And as I was in the training, I just decided to show the equipment that I had made, the sorting device, to the farmers who were also part of the training, to see if I can actually sell something to them. And yes, they were interested, but not that much interested. And then out of nowhere, the managing director of that company actually came to the training and saw me advertising. And he's like, what's this? I explained to him that it's a sorting device. It eases the process of killing birds for small-scale farmers. And it's actually convenient. You actually take fewer minutes to kill your birds. And there's less time in terms of cleaning up, and you won't, they don't be fracturing of bones or breaking of wings, making the bird really suitable for the consumer. So he was interested and he said, you actually should be talking to me. And he gave me his business card. And I went to his office a week after, and he placed an order. Back then, I didn't have a company. I had no business skills whatsoever. I did not have an agreement with him. And nothing, but I just started. Supplying.
And what I'm getting from that, I just want to hold you there, because where you're now going with your story, I want that response a bit later.
Okay.
So I got a lot of things from this. You just started. You're not ready, but you dived in and you started. And I want to then pose the question now to Simba as the next question. Clearly laid out, well laid out. If I was sitting at home on my couch, contemplating beginning a business as a young person and stuff, I think I'm kind of convinced. But my question now, is it that simple? You want to remove someone's fear of getting in who has been locked in that fear for so long. So my question now directed to Simba, in line with this, she got started this way. What sort of mindset do you need to develop? Is there a mindset you need to be able to jump in and start a business? Which is probably what Evangelista had, or did you not have that? What do you need to get in business in terms of mindset?
I would say you need a Kudam Sasiwa type mindset, that you have to be brave and not care what people think.
Okay.
Right? Because I think the challenge with starting a business is we take our template, we take our template from people that are already successful, and we view them when they're already successful, but we never see their journey from when they started to where they are at the present moment. And what that then does is everyone's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth, right? So you drop you drop your business plan, you get your friends, you establish your company, everything is looking rosy, then one or two things are going to happen. The first thing is the money might not come. And then secondly, the money might come when the first dollar hits the account, right? Then you see people's true colors, right? So now, even before the money comes, what gets you over the line to actually say, if I'm working for Price Waterhouse, I'm going to quit my job and start this company. If I'm working for this particular law firm, I'm going to quit my job and start this company, and understand that it's a long road. It's not going to happen overnight, right? So you have to be brave enough to understand that first of all, it's going to be long, it's going to be hard. Everything you envision to go wrong is going to go wrong. And when that happens, what do you do?
Okay.
So my colleague, our esteemed lady, who found herself without a job. So in other case, you pretty much had no choice, you see. But you discover that if you have a choice between staying in your formal employment where you're comfortable or starting a new company, pressures of the bills at the end of the month and sushi on Friday at Queen of Hearts are going to take over the need to build a prototype, to go knocking on doors, to understand that you're going to have to starve. Look at Kuda when he first started. People called him vendor, and they were laughing at him, right? But now the same people probably look at him in awe. But many people probably see Kuda where he is now But were they there when he was probably telling us that, hey, things aren't working, eh?
Yeah.
You know, you can't get your hair done this time, or when am I going to find money for school fees, or how are you going to eat?
It's a kind of mindset you need to have getting in.
Exactly. And worse yet, the people that are closest to you that will tell you that it doesn't work. Okay. So your greatest critics are, funny enough, even going to be your family.
Wow.
What is he doing? Why can't he get a job? I think he's got a problem. You know, only when they see the money coming in do they then believe so. So it's all those things that people then don't understand. That's the first part, is getting over that mindset. Before you come to the business plan, who's going to finance, who your market is are you brave enough to actually take that leap of faith and know you're going to starve? Wow. Like literally starve. And wow. Are you comfortable with that?
Wow.
You know, I got a colleague called Keaton. He's with a company in Germany called Solar Kiosk, right? He's like head of Africa. But people didn't know that we had an office in Samora Machar. Whenever we had a little milestone, our celebration was those $1 hot dogs in Baker's.
Oh, yes.
Because that's what we could afford. You know, so they see him now as a big chef. But Keaton actually put the livelihood of his family on the line. He had a kid, he had a wife. Right? But he had a conviction that his business was going to succeed, and his wife supported him.
And it's going to work.
And it's going to work.
I think what I'm getting, so Evangelista really brought out that the entrepreneur dives in even before the decision is okay. And Simba, I'm picking that the mindset you must get in is preparation sort of for persistence, endurance, failure. I think you need a lot of failure. And I love when you said, whatever you imagine will go wrong is going to go wrong.
Absolutely.
But I think every entrepreneur, so you then mentioned Kuda, so I want to bring this to Kuda as we continue our conversation and dialogue. Kuda, this is how you get started. This is the mindset you get in with.
Yep.
But what I want to know, what about external influence? What sort of stereotypes are there, and what sort of challenges are you immediately confronted with? Perhaps even before you get in. I think Simba mentioned just one. Say family. Is it going to be there or not? So what's the reality in terms of your surroundings, besides your decision to get in? What are you going to be confronted with? Is it stereotypes? Is it, I don't know, what is it you're confronted with immediately as you decide to start?
Look, I think just to sort of take off from where Evangelista took off, I started my business out of desperation and also out of chance. What I thought was going to save my life was my tomato project. That wasn't it. What was actually then when we asked on Twitter if anybody else had stuff that they wanted us to deliver in our boxes, right? So we stumbled across it, which is similar to what happened to yourself, right? We stumbled across the business model, which is not new. It did in the day, we were growing stuff, to order stuff, and then we're selling stuff on. And I think the biggest battle, obviously, is the guy you see in the mirror every day. Especially when people start calling you the Kovo guy or the vendor guy, etc. And the thing is, once you get to that space of embodying it and embracing it, you actually start to you realize that, yes, absolutely, we are the vendors. They started calling me the vendor in chief, which is great. I'll accept that as well. Your family doesn't get it. Kuda, you're so smart. You went to the best schools. You went to the City of London. What the hell are you doing? Tengesaring my veggie, and that's the family side of things, Then you've got your friends who think you're a total failure. Shit, this guy was in the UK for 15 years. Now look at him, right? But, we are in the hardest economy in the world to survive in, and we have to be creative. We have to try and disrupt. We have to try and look after our families. And to me, this was a time when I just had a newborn baby. I just gone through a crazy divorce a couple of years before, and there was a lot of changes in my life, and I had to reskill. And I think that's the real thing, that I couldn't be a rapper or a social influencer. I had to feed my kids. And I think this is the important thing that I learned, that you have to start to drown out some of those external voices who are telling you can't, you shouldn't. People in Zimbabwe will never shop online. Everyone sells veggies. Chickens are retail. You can't compete with ovens. I mean, these are things that will always be said. And sometimes it's a matter of saying, no, you know what? I'm going to have to try, and I'm going to have to try well, and I'm going to try to do it better. And every little incremental step of being better, 1% a day, within 30 days, you're 30% better than you were.
So in spite of or despite all these voices, you moved in.
I had no choice.
So that's what you need to do as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Get started.
And the thing is,
voices won't go anywhere, will they?
No, they won't go anywhere. And I think it's also not, as entrepreneurs on this stage, we must be fair and say that there's many other external factors that may take us to where we are. For example, if I wasn't such an arrogant guy on Twitter or whatever, I may not have had the audience to see me starting the business, right? So there's many other little side, call them connecting the dots going backwards. Okay. Say, you know what, we got involved in this flag, we got involved in this, we started getting really large Twitter following, notoriety, and all these things. So that gave us quite a big channel to our conversation. Now, would I ask a kid who doesn't use social media to try to do what I did? Maybe not in the same way, but they must start. And it's really important because I'm 42 now. And like I said in my promo, I wish I'd started at 20. Wow. I could have made more mistakes. I could have stumbled a lot more. Yeah, and then get to a stage when I perfect
I heard I don't think there was an entrepreneur who said that life begins at 40. So could I now 3 years old? But when I was therefore could I come here to Leslie? Leslie, actually now within, in business terms, even based on what these guys have said, 5 years is a short time. Companies can take 10 years or so to set up. Yeah, within short term, but you're already manufacturing some stuff. The question I have for you, Leslie, my first question for tonight is support structure. I imagine if I would go into business, there will be a lot of support from my mother, my father, my cousins, and everyone. Is there a support system that one needs to start business? Did you get it? Is it a reality or is it something that you then realize there's no support system? What sort of support system do you talk about in terms of starting your own business?
Well, for me, like I've alluded before, that we started in 2018. That was getting our company formally registered. And I think that's the time that I got married. I got married in 2017, and then we commercialized our business in 2018. I think one of the key pillars in the formulation of business was my wife. I think my family really came through in a very big way because I think, we had recently got a newborn baby, and I had a very stable job.
Wow, there's something about having babies and starting business. I think
they change your life.
The formula to start your own business, just have a baby and then you're in.
Yeah, so it was risking the welfare of the kids, getting into business. Yes, I had a bit of saving. But I can really thank my family. My brother-in-law was very handy because initially we used to over-rely on imported stuff. My brother, even my maternal brother, after he had studied the model, after I laid out things to him, he really came through. I think he gave us about 50,000 rands to really capacitate, because initially we were using a home oven, to make our cereals. And then you really came through and say, you know what, I don't understand much of your business, but I know that I can see the passion that you have with the business, and the way you have presented it. I think this will take. So he gave me the 50,000 rands to say, you know what, go ahead to build the business, which was a plus. I think I was one of the few privileged people to have family support. When I then tried to go to financial institutions, I think it then changed the whole picture of how things.
I can see that the entrepreneurs reacting. They're going to get into there.
2018 was a very difficult year for us because, one, we were still starting, to really commercialize the product, to really take it out there, and inflation was very high by that time. I still remember when I put in an injection of 2,000 US. When we received a payment, it was close to 800. There was
in terms of value, because of inflation. Wow.
So I could just pay my salaries and pay my rentals and probably do like that. The Shunammite woman to wait for my death, to say, I'm done. There's no longer tomorrow for me. I don't still have working capital. So after that, that's when we then, what then pushed us forward is the confirmed orders that we now get.
Yes.
They were just, just too much for us. Then we then tried to lobby with different people, tried to lobby with different institutions. So I then realized that with the formal banking system, as a young entrepreneur, as a startup, you don't get any joy. The only route that you can get assistance is through microfinance. and the interest rate per month is
crazy.
20%, 25%.
Wow,
that's
so massive.
That's massive,
yeah,
and you are starting a business. Your business is too sensitive to take that kind of shot. So we then had to go the microfinance way because that was the only open channel for us. So yes, I got the family support, but from where support is supposed to come from, it didn't really come up the way that I was expecting. So I think that was one of the biggest, challenge.
So that you do need support, but practically you might not get it. I want to bring a question now, sort of in line with that, Evangelista. Let's agree, this could be the representation of women versus men in business, 1:4. My question is why? Because when I then looked at it, I didn't see barriers for women, but there must be some form of invisible barriers. So my question rather is, what would you have told maybe yourself 5 years ago before you thought of getting into business, and that then would direct to a young girl out there who's not getting to business? Why aren't ladies getting to business? So speak to yourself 10 years ago, advising a young girl there, perhaps say, no, come in, there's nothing in here. Why are girls not getting in?
Well, I think it's the way we are raised. We are told that women are supposed to get married. So as a result of that, we don't think much about starting businesses or trying to venture into businesses. It's the social systems, the social structures. And then another thing is that I think there's a lack of female mentorship who can actually guide us through these business ventures. I had a challenge getting female mentors, but now I'm actually realizing that they are there, but the thing is, we as young ladies, we need to approach them and tell them what we want from them. Some of them are willing to assist us, but some of them aren't willing because they say they've got lots of responsibilities, like taking care of the husband, taking care of the kids. So that's challenging for women to venture into business and be
So there's a social aspect already where you've got the social responsibilities, and to then start a business, it's something else.
Can I disagree though?
Sure.
Sorry, Evangelista. When we look at our mothers, if you look at the black women of Zimbabwe, for example, and that's because I can reference, they seem to be very entrepreneurial in my growing up. Even it seems like the women were always at the forefront of making a plan. And I seem to feel that, yes, there may be no mentorship in the old senses of the Steve Jobs, but I do believe that if we look at, for example, the online shops in Zimbabwe, the majority of them are run by women on WhatsApp. They're selling clothes, they're selling food, they're selling all sorts of great things. So maybe it's the way we're looking at it. Okay. Maybe it's a positional.
So there's that, perhaps before she can also, are you saying, Kuda, there's a lot of women getting into business, or there's more men getting into business?
No, I think visibly speaking, I mean, I get too much credit. My wife doesn't get enough. She's the farmer. She's the driving force a lot of the times. And I feel that the women, being Women's Month, let's also be honest, guys, our mothers were more entrepreneurial than our dads. Our dads loved their jobs sometimes, and our moms were the ones who, even though my mom was a teacher, had 20 side hustles. There's always something that she was up to. And I think in my life, when I look up to my parents, I do feel that my mom is maybe more of an example of a person who was willing to take risks. And also me, because some of the things that we did, if we're going to the show or getting ice cream, that wasn't coming from the body's pocket. That was definitely coming from mom's side.
So based on that, Evangelista, I think we can agree there is that generation of hardworking women. I mean, he's in fresh in the box vendors. If you go to some of the mall brand shops, there's only women selling from Saturday and from the husbands in the bar. So
women hustle.
Okay.
But turning that hustle into a proper business. That's where
some
the issue,
scalable kind of
scalability. That's where the issue comes.
Yeah. I think he scaled it. I mean, I grew up in a country of vendors, but you changed the model. And it's something that even in South Africa, they're speaking about, say, this guy is now vending it as a chief, vendor. So I think perhaps the question should have been, can they formalize? Because I also know a lot of girls who can sell things even at work and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
the world is changing, guys. And I mean, if we look at some of the biggest shops in the UK, WH Smith, Truos, all these big ones, they're falling away. Why? Because the more smaller personal shopping experiences are becoming more and more involved.
So I want to bring something to Simba now. In line, I feel with this. I feel so special being in this one because I feel I'm representing a lot of people. Simba, I'm not getting into business because I don't have capital.
Icho.
Comment. Pardon? I'm not getting into business because I don't have capital.
You never have capital. You have to leverage your business. You see, so a lot of people actually assume that to get into business, you have to use your own money. You only make money from other people's money. Because
so I don't need capital to get started. Because I hear a lot of young people, I don't have capital. What's capital anyway? What is it even?
You don't, it's not that you don't need capital. You need capital. But the long and short of it, you don't have it. That's the long and short of it. You don't have it. He didn't have 50,000. Someone had to come and front him 50,000. Right?
Okay, can I be a testimony?
Yeah.
So my capital base was promising customers that if you pay me now, I'll come tomorrow. And I had to use my customers as capital every day until we scaled it up.
So based upon that, once you understand that, right, you then understand that, okay, fine. So if I don't have capital, what's my value proposition? It was his promise, it was your innovation, it was your passion, right? So what is your purpose? What is your promise? What is your value proposition? That you can walk into your brother, your customer, or whoever's going to fund you and say, listen, I believe in this business, and if you pay me my money, I'm going to deliver vegetables tomorrow. The challenge is, I've come across a lot of business plans, and I always laugh at this, whereby on the business plan, the line item, they'll have an entertainment budget. And you're like, okay, so for what? And I need to take customers for coffee. You know? Or, Mr. Murilo, can I please speak to you about a business idea? Can we have coffee? No, we need to meet at your office. How are you having money for coffee when you're starting out? You know, things like that. So once you understand it, then understand that even if you don't have capital, people have to believe in you as an individual. So I have certain partners in my business, On and Andrew at Oxygen, Rio, you have our power and the Rios and team. They believe in you as an individual. Okay. So sometimes your capital is your own drive. His brother saw his passion and said, I'm going to foot 50,000.
50,000 bucks. It's a lot of money.
50,000
rand. But that's a lot of money, though. How you know, Mario?
That was a classic example. The MD saw a working prototype that you had put together. It might not have been the most prettiest thing, but he saw a working prototype. Kuda got started.
Yes.
So if you come with an idea on paper that is very flowery, right, it's going to be hard to finance. How many of you have come across, let's say you go to a conference, you find I'm CEO of this company, it's in mining, it's in agriculture, it's investments. I work for years. You know how much money those guys have to spend on exploration? You know,
I can imagine.
Exactly. So it's more like, first of all, start small. Even if you don't have capital, your capital could be yourself, right? Your capital could be partnerships. So as I sit at this table, for me, a simple food chain is very simple. He does Glade Time Food, Kuda sells. She does chickens for slaughter. Her farmers sell her chickens to Kuda. He sells his grain to Kuda. Kuda delivers it, whether it's onwards to further beneficiation or right into your home. Yes. Another thing is that your capital could be you guys coming together as a team and coming up with a business plan, right? That basically talks to all of you, bringing your strength together to achieve scale, which is why you had trouble with the banks, right? How many SMEs, when they want to start a business, walk into CBZ and say, can I please have a checklist of what your credit team goes through to finance a business? And then when you're registering your company, you're coming up with your books or your business plan, you're simply ticking that checkbox. Okay. And the mentality should go in to answer your question about the banks is they don't really do this, but I think they do. I think it's a safe way of doing it. A bank should look at your business, right? Think of everything that could possibly go wrong or every reason they need not to finance your bank, your project, and then tick those boxes off as you're alleviated. Okay. We call it risk mitigation. Okay. Once you've ticked all those boxes, they'll finance you. So for Stanbic Bank, for example, they've got a low-cost account for women. Transactional charges are very cheap. They've even got a loan product specific for women. Out there in the audience, how many people know about it? But they advertise it a lot.
And that's the ultimate question.
Do you simply just walk into your bank and say, listen, I want to do chickens, and can you give me money? Because what you don't understand is, as much as people say banks are hard to deal with, when you look at banks, the depositor's money is a liability because we owe you. The money that we lend, we call it an asset because we make revenue from it. So you want to lend you money. But do you talk to the bank and say, listen, guys, whether I'm Right Time Foods, whether I'm Kudam Sasiwa for Fish in the Box, whether I'm Evangelista for slaughtering chickens, right? What do you need to finance my business? Your business is easy. Probably your funding, I'll throw it out there. Probably your client was probably Irvin's. Well, I know there are two big ones, one of the two, right? You use Irvin's balance sheet for them to loan your business. So Irvin's will say, we'll buy X amount of chicken slaughtering devices for you because we're going to give them to our small scale farmers. You go to the bank and say, can I please have X amount to produce, but the guarantee is coming from Irvin's. Your project is funded. But banks will tell you these things if you go and talk to them. Or if you simply say, what is your checklist?
But the Zimbabwean banks are there. Once we see
so this is well spoken from a banker. Okay,
Simba's a banker. He's got for a good case. He doesn't work like that.
And you have a lot of entrepreneurs. One young man told me, look, I've walked into all these 21 banks, whatever. I think it was 21 at the time. And the only thing I heard was collateral, or rather, not now. We'll probably come later. But before we continue that one, because what I want to do now, just after this, we also want now to open up for questions to those that on the other platforms. There are questions coming in so that I'm not the only one asking questions. This is what he is saying.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Well, I agree with him. That's what is on the ground, right? Okay. But with where I sit, I think there's no need for disruption in that space. Because, like what Kuda has just said, we've got a lot of women who are going to Barimsika to buy and sell. They need to be capacitated. Okay. So if we go with that checklist that he was talking about, we are not going to take ourselves from where we are to where we need to be. Okay. You know, if you look, I think it should be Pakistan or one of these countries, you know, there is a guy who came up with a very interesting model to say, you know what? The collateral that I'm going to look from you is your trust. And the rate of default was very, very minimum, actually compared to banks, to people who actually offered collateral. So we are saying there's need for transformation in that space. Okay. That space is not speaking to the needs of the people. Because if we have a lot of informal people, if we have a lot of informal businesses, that needs to be capacitated from where they are, the issues that we were talking about scalability, about scaling up, then there should be a way of addressing that. I think in a way, Stuart Bank, in a way, they tried to, you know, move in that space. Although I still, there's still a lot of work to be done in that space because we have a lot of street vendors. We've got a lot of informally employed people. We've got people who do not have collateral at all. But we have bankable ideas who can turn $1 into $50 or $25. Something has to be done in terms of helping those people to change the narrative, to change from where they are to where they should be. So that's my thinking.
I hope we can help you with that. One thing I learned in business is that you have to be part of a food chain, right? So if you can't talk to the bank, right, you have to be able to work with someone who can talk to the bank, which is why I gave you the example of Irvin's. Or another example is the tobacco industry, that contract farming. Right? That's a typical example. Small-scale farmers can't walk into a bank, right, and borrow money, right? But a MTC, Northern Tobacco, ZLT will put his balance sheet forward.
And on the note, Simba, I feel I can bring this one in because, so now I'm taking questions. We've got questions coming in from Facebook. I'll start with the one from a WhatsApp group. Hold on to that because I think this one's in line with that. This is a question from Mutiwa Nyuka. Right, for anyone on the panel, so Simba can take that one and ask the answer. How much support from financial institutions are you getting now, and how much you're getting then when you started? So I think you can continue that thread, and others can also chip in to answer this question from Muchiwi Wanyuka.
We now have massive support from financial institutions because we now understand what they can do and what they can't do. So even though you say there's transformation, you have to understand that transformation is not just at the actual bank. The transformation has to start from the Reserve Bank, from the policyholders. And even remember that time when we had banks closing down because depositors' funds, etc., etc. These are the demons that are now haunting banks now to say, look, we have to depositors' funds safe. Kuda puts money into Stuart Bank and it's loaned to you and you don't bring it back. Kuda's going to hammer the CEO of Stuart Bank, right? So what we then had to understand is, why do banks behave in the way that they do? And look at it as an opportunity to say, okay, fine, so what I need to do is to be part of a food chain, right? Maybe my business is not selling directly to customers. Maybe my business is selling to another organization, for example, like Pick and Pay, right? Who's going to make money off me, but they've got the balance sheet to get me funded. So once you understand where your business is in the total value chain, you will then be able to understand whereby your business is high risk. You have to probably go to family, or your business can be funded because your off-taker or your client, right, you can go to a bank and get order finance and say, listen, because I'm supplying Old Mutual, and an Old Mutual purchase order is as good as cash, right? And go say, okay, I'm now going to go to the bank and borrow money. Right, Kuda can go and say, okay, now I've got Fresh in the box. Now I'm doing my distribution through Fresh Pro, INSCO. So INSCO can go in and say, okay, because we're
and sort of like a guarantor there.
Yeah, give him money. Most entrepreneurs do not understand, quite frankly, where they stand in the food chain and that they have to be part of the food chain.
All right.
Most entrepreneurs should also know my bank in Zimbabwe, have I been funded by the banks? No, I've been funded zero. And the truth of the matter is, we funding the banks. The Zimbabwean banks are a criminal syndicate. And let's not lie to each other. The bank charges are outrageous. For small businesses, I don't know how you guys are dealing with this, but when you get RTGS payments, it's an absolute nightmare trying to even track and account for how much money we're losing in the arbitrage and in the mess that's happening just by logging into our accounts and checking our balances. Right. So let's also be honest. You also mentioned the big elephant in the room: inconsistency of policy, bad governance. Right. We also don't blame them for being Matsotsi because they're also being headed by Matsotsi. Right. So the Reserve Bank is also a criminal syndicate, and it's a situation where we're sitting where we can wake up one day, US dollars are not allowed. Now they're allowed. Now everybody put in what are these things called? Bureau de charges in the offices, in your stores. And then 2 weeks later, you don't need them anymore.
You need them. And I want to
That's
bring a
criminal.
question there. So Kuda, there's a question here. I think after he has spoken, then you can also comment on that one. Yeah. It's in line. Rebecca now is then asking, a question from Rebecca is, you're saying the entrepreneurs are not getting support from these financial institutions. As entrepreneurs yourselves, that's the entire panel, what are you doing to create support structures for budding entrepreneurs? So maybe Kuda can take it. Leslie, I'm sure you're planning to say something. Yeah. Okay. Are we doing anything as entrepreneurs to rope in the other entrepreneurs just like us? Or we're just complaining about it?
Okay, so just speaking on a personal level, I think the first thing that we did when we discovered we didn't have enough cars was we partnered up with another entrepreneur called Patrick who owned Windy Cabs. And they had a lot of downtime with their cabbies. So they started doing our deliveries for us. And then we partnered up with Mutuma Messenger, another young startup. Then we partnered up with Shumba Mani, and we started working together. So the capital, I didn't have to buy new cars. Other people had bought cars already, and we worked together to try and bring each other up. Because at the end of the day, that's what we have each other. The second thing that we're doing is Fresh in a Box, and our team is, we've got a large amount of young vendors, maids, etc., who we're really pushing to finish school, university, because we discovered that a lot of people didn't do that for us. And using our social capital and putting it out there and gaining guardians. We've now got thousands of guardians who are helping look after a bunch of young people who are also now becoming great little entrepreneurs in their own right. And our one-star student, obviously Ranga, who we found in Murewa selling, magazines and so forth, 25-point student. He's not only is he doing his actuary now at UZ, but he's also now got a really successful phone business, selling these ITEL phones and accessories to friends, families, and etc. And he's growing. And I think this is where we're going to really succeed as Zimbabweans, learning how to quickly work together, which we struggle to do as Black folk. But let's work together
you're
quickly.
Saying there is some collaboration, like you gave your perfect examples of where, look, the banks have done that, but we've come together and given each other business, which again sort of was helpful in getting sent to up and the taxi guy.
Of course, it scales you up quicker, right? So trying to do things in my own Honda Fit didn't work, but all of a sudden we could do it. We went after 1,000 deliveries a day.
I want to bring it to the other two entrepreneurs. Do you disagree with that? And you're burning to say something, yes. And then I can also come to some questions from Zoom.
Address what Simba was talking about. There is a certain level in which order financing works, and there's a certain level in which it doesn't work. We are talking about an economy that is highly informal, where everyone is just trying to put a meal on the table.
Absolutely.
So we want to come up with solutions that addresses the needs of the mass. Because for me, I can tell you, recently I got facilities from 3 banks, some of it unsecured, because I'm at another level of operation. But there's a point in time in which I could approach, and you know what, my story is I paid up an agad, that kind of thing. So we are saying, let's come up with solutions that address someone who is on the grassroots.
But still, Leslie,
someone who is a cut of
but I'm
bananas.
still picking from Simba to say, are entrepreneurs taking the time to be aware of this? Because this is a lot of things.
No, we don't. We're not.
Maybe we're going to
Let's be honest also.
Are entrepreneurs taking time to know this?
You got mine. You got mine. I know my room. 3 facilities.
I'll leave that here.
All right.
I just want to address the issue of, time. We are encouraging people to start with $20, right? With no collateral, to start with what they have. And we need to tell those people the truth about the realities, about what is on the ground.
Amen.
We can't tell someone with $30 to go and look for order finance. And it's actually a very big task to get registered with TMP Can Pay, to get registered with OK Bon Marché. It takes a lot for someone to get into that space. What we want to address is, how can we take each other from 0 to 1 to 2 to where we are? If we're at 7, we need to push each other. Like, I also want to agree with Kuda. My model, what we have just done, I was sharing with some of my colleagues who came through. I've also said to small entrepreneurs that I've seen they have potential to say, okay, let me help you with your branding. Let me help you with your packaging. And I've taken the responsibility to go and list for them, so they are now on my schedule, so I'm also trying to add value. Those people who are also supporting me in terms of dried fruits and the like, I also work as a guarantee to say, you want to go and look for money. Okay, put my business on the block. Go and get the money that you need so that you can put up the capacity.
So in line with also what Kuda was saying on collaborating, I feel this is a very powerful initiative from you, let me not say seasoned entrepreneurs, but those that have gotten off the blocks.
Yeah.
To hold our hands when getting in. I mean, probably I need $100 to start supplying you with your raw material. Give me $100, you finance me. And I think I would rather be financed by an entrepreneur than a banker at the beginning, because I don't have collateral. But I think that's a powerful contribution. As we go on, if there are people on Zoom, so want to now bring it to Evangelista, I think it's high time.
Yeah.
I just want to mention those on Zoom. I think you can either raise your hand because I'm on Zoom platform. I think questions from Facebook, bring them through the WhatsApp platform. But on Zoom, you can just raise your hand and you can see it. So I want to bring it to Evangelista. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So from my side, I got nothing from financial institutions. The reason being, I realized that they took time to release funds. They actually had to come to my premises and have a look at what I was doing. Like back then, I didn't have much going on. Besides, I had like an order, which I showed them, but they took time. And yet, like I was making profits then, they wanted their stuff. So I actually used my network and got funds from an Act in Africa. It's an entrepreneurship program I was part of. I showed them the order, and then they got me like the funding for that order. And then I also realized that my number one investors were my customers. Amen. I realized they're willing to pay.
That's a source of capital, eh?
Yes.
We get the order and let them pay. Okay.
They were willing to pay before I even gave them the product. So I use that quite often. And then in terms of working with other entrepreneurs, I collaborate a lot. I have distributors within Harare who actually distribute my equipment. They're also startups. There's Sika Solutions. They sell my equipment nationwide. They do deliveries nationwide. I have FarmTech. They work with farmers from all over Zimbabwe. Like currently, I work with approximately 1,000 farmers who use equipment and services. I also work with women organizations, as in I do free training for their women who are into poultry, and they get a chance to buy the equipment at a discount because they're women. We also collaborate.
Yes, I think that's a powerful force in today. I mean, there's a lot of talk on even gender balance and stuff. So the opportunity for ladies to hop onto that.
Yes, and we collaborate when we raise our birds and we sell it to butcheries or restaurants who want our birds. And then another thing I used to get finance was grants.
Okay.
I got a number of grants, and that actually helped me to scale up in terms of getting a production facility as well as buying equipment. And I also work with other innovators who have innovations that work in line with my equipment. For example, like my heaters that I use, they're powered by biomass briquettes. Of course, I make certain quantities in terms of those briquettes, but the other innovators also make those briquettes. So I buy also from them and then resell to my customers.
And I want to digress you a bit, Evangelista, because there's a question here from Lindani. Before you collaborate, I have a sense that you have to become some sort of a person as an entrepreneur. So the question here from Lindani is, it's to open listening, so anyone can then take it up after her, but let's just make it a bit brief. What's your routine like? Do you have to have a daily routine for you to be a successful entrepreneur? That's a question. Is there a routine you follow for you to be successful in business and to stay energized and to stay, inspired regardless of all these challenges? You, the person, you, the entrepreneur. That's a question from Lindani.
Okay. I actually know Lindani, he's a good friend of mine. So I do have a weird routine. Like for me, I don't work on Mondays. You won't find me on Mondays.
Wow, when I grow up, I'll do that.
It's something that I'm like trying to do. It's working. And then Tuesdays, I have certain tasks that I do for myself. Like Tuesdays, I do finance. And Wednesdays, I do like applications. I'm looking for grants as well as like different opportunities. I do strategies on Wednesdays. I check on the team, my team, I have a team. I check on them on Thursdays, and I also check on production on Thursdays. And then Fridays, we do deliveries to distributors. Saturdays, I talk to the farmers on various platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all, just to know how the farmers are doing. So yes, I do have
and that helps you in your mindset and grounding.
Yes.
Gentlemen, is it the same for you? I'm trying to think, could I wake up at 3 a.m. and farmers wake up at wee hours? What's your maybe routines like? Do you need a routine as an entrepreneur to stay grounded, or you can just do a haphazard? What's your routines like, if you have them?
As a farmer, 4 a.m. is a daily thing for us.
Wow.
And over the past 3 years, it's become one of my routines. There's the Buko 5 a.m. club. Sadly, it's an hour later than we have to wake up. And that's just because of the way our industry is. And by the time we have to wake up, shower, waking up early has actually proved to me to be one of the best things in my life. I find that the day is more productive, and I find that I sleep a lot earlier. And I think it's made me a better person. Absolutely.
Wow. So I think for us to entertain more questions to the other panelists, there's a number of questions, but our time is running out. With the kind of business, unless of course you just want to respond to that, it's fine. With the kind of businesses and the sectors you're involved in, how important is data? I'm sure that's data in terms of the internet and stuff, and decision making on a daily basis. Is business a myriad of daily decisions? I think from let's go Simba.
I think it depends upon the size and scale of your business. Yes, data is always necessary. For example, Evangelista has to know where her farmers are, what they're going to buy, how much they're slaughtering, Kuda as well. So data is always important. But the nature, the depth, the detail of the data varies from business to business. Sometimes you don't need fancy algorithms. It's just a matter of a list of farmers that you know that you can go into some profits and tell that in this particular area you're supporting 50 farmers. Here's where they're located. And yes, that informs your business. How much resources am I going to spend trying to open up a market in Mutare as opposed to Biro. Decisions are made on the fly. One of the things that you have to understand as an entrepreneur, as an executive, is you're constantly making hard decisions, tough decisions. So yes, that is also important. If I'm going to talk to issues of routines, Kudas wakes up at 4, she's got a routine. My routine is basically the needs of the business at that point in time. Because people would like to read, this is what Elon Musk's day looks like. That doesn't work.
Those guys we look at Zimbabwe, yeah, like, so I think we try and imitate it.
If I'm to put it succinctly in English, I'll say there's a method to the madness. It's kind of like afraid. Because you might think you're not going to work on Monday, then you just get a call. Come to the meeting in the next 2 hours.
I'm gonna deal.
I'm gonna cash.
And I must say something. Also, you notice with the way we're not connected with social media and stuff, your client is in the UK, and for them it's 8 a.m. Yours is 3 a.m. So money doesn't sleep.
Exactly. So routines are. It just depends from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, really.
And perhaps some type of business. I'm sure if you're running a law firm, it's very easy to be so detailed and so structured. But if you're running a fresh in a box business, I mean, you have to be able. You have to be pouring, but you want to harvest. But it's pouring and So I would like Leslie to say something, but also bring in the question, just so that we can entertain as much as possible in the next few minutes that remain. This person asked a phenomenal question, which has some entrepreneurs literally out before they start, because they didn't even know this word. What factors are considered when determining profit margins? I want to add on to the question. Do you even know the difference between revenue and profit? You know, when you make so much revenue, like Tapinda, and then 5 years down, you are down under in debt. So maybe you can start saying, what is profit? But the question is, or is it a year? I didn't get the name. What do you consider when determining profit margins? I think it's a profound question there.
Yeah, well, unlike Kuda and Evangelista, I operate in a red ocean. And these guys are operating
the Red Sea.
Yeah, the Red Sea. These guys are operating in a blue ocean. You know, they've made competition irrelevant. But I've told myself, you know what, I need to get in there, join the big boys club and see how they react, you know. So to me, I think in terms of, let me just also speak to my routine. You know, normally my operations manager and my finance manager, they sleep at 3 a.m. I'll be demanding for answers because I know I'm fighting with jungle bots. I'm fighting with Kellogg's. I'm fighting with Proton. I'm fighting with Insco. You know, the big guys. So for me, I really need to see. For me, a strategy is not a 5-year plan. I re-strategize each and every day because when I launch something, you see there's a fight. In terms of sales space, in terms of, you know, pricing, in terms of, and I need also to respond to that. To say, no, you know what, these guys, they think I'm still a small boy. I also need to show them I'm not a small boy. Better than them. I'm not a small boy. So, you know, getting into the big boy mentality and trying to show your guts, you know, it really takes a lot of courage, a lot of determination. And consistently changing your strategies. Yes. Because one day the big guy gives you hard price. And you know, just touching on the issue of profit, there are what we call market forces. It's important for you before you get into a business to really understand the market dynamics. Because if you go in there blindly, definitely these big guys will give you a good beating. Because these guys have been there for a century, and you are just 3 years into your Mafigizo, a Johnny come late, you know. So you really need to understand, to say, okay, which category are they not playing a lot in? Do you understand? Which category do they seem a bit reluctant in? You go there. You try to create dominance in that space. You understand? And you get the muscle that is required for you to compete head to head with them. But if you then go to their cash cow, definitely they will respond very hard. They will be very angry. So the issues of profit are determined by the competing forces in the market. Because if you then say, my profit has to be 25%, And surely the competition is saying otherwise. You won't survive, you won't sell. So you then have to tweak your margins vis-a-vis what competition is doing. So understand the market forces, understand the market dynamics, understand the customer preferences, how dynamic they are, and respond to them on time. So these are the key issues. I think it's not about sitting down and say, I want to make 25%. Yes, theoretically you can, but you then have to tweak it based on the response of the market.
Wow.
And uptake and everything.
Wow. Yeah. So what we want to do, as you're always now about to build momentum and stuff, time always comes in and it's a bit jealous. So I'm going to read, I think we have just 2 or 3 questions. I'll read all of them. Then want to go around the panel. You can respond to the question, and then I would also love you to give us a parting word. I mean, it is tough, it's challenging, as if our challenge is not enough COVID-19 case. Where did that come from? I mean, for some of us, we still don't know what it is, but I know there's power in the word. For someone watching there, which can just be revolutionaries, and they literally get out of the lockdown. So let's read these 2 questions, then we can just start from Leslie. Going around the room, you can respond to the question, but then give us your closing remark to just give us that spirit of entrepreneurship in. So there's a comment here, or a question rather, from, it must be from Lindani, or say Nigel. No, it's from Frank. So here's a question. Nowadays, when starting to hustle in the streets, one major challenge is police raids, reducing the chance of any vendors growing into major stable businesses, as she did so. Although not ethical, it seems pragmatic to have some bit of money to bribe police rather than to sell your products. And I think this is a candid conversation we need to create an entire episode for, of bribing and all this going on in here. So the question now is, would you agree with that you need to be bribing and all that stuff? Then I'll ask the other question. It was actually David Mr. Marangi, but you can all answer. Can he take us through the summary of how to navigate successfully lobbying the finance minister? I think that's including you there in Zim, and also Dr. Mankochka, for SME Forex auction, which assists upcoming businesses to access to cheap Forex. That's how much.
That's only for SMEs
on the ground. Let's just start this side. You can respond to the 2 questions in a minute.
Tell me about it.
And then your closing remark. Starting with the one to Mr. Marangi. How do you lobby?
Okay, I honestly, I think Hama is taking, I did that for the SME Forex system to be initiated. This is how I did it. I'm one person who tries. I don't find any problem with trying. I wrote my letter on my letterhead. I sent it to the minister, to his email. I sent it to the governor, to his email. I went on his Twitter page. I went on all social media platforms. And I said, you know what? As SMEs, if you can help us with the auction system, it will really take us out of the streets in terms of trying to look for foreign currency, because we are also contributing significantly to the development of the economy. They did not respond per se to me, but I then, the following 2-3 days, I then saw that there was an SME auction system that I'm actually utilizing up to date, you know, to buy raw materials from outside the country. So I think it takes courage, you know, to be a businessman. You need to be a courageous person. You don't have to put barriers in your way. I know people, they cloud themselves with a lot of barriers, but I'm one person who tries. If it means I need to go to the highest office to really say my issue, I go there. If I don't get the necessary reception, the necessary feedback, but at least I've tried. So to me, trying
that's just it.
To me, that is.
And your last words to a young budding entrepreneur, even aspiring entrepreneur or struggling entrepreneur out there?
Well, my parting words is, we need to be innovative. I've seen that if there's one thing that should motivate us to go forward is innovation. We need to be transformational in nature. We need to be disruptive in nature. I've seen a lot of people trying to imitate what I do. My vision and my passion is different from your vision and passion. and the most imitated guy is Kuda. Everyone is fresh into something, fresh in the palette, but his vision and his motivation is different from what you have.
Yes.
So have a passion, nurture a passion, have a dream, nurture your dream. If you think making brooms is your dream, do it in the best of your abilities. Don't try to be someone else, because Me Too products, if I'm making 10,000 from my products, if you imitate my product, you just make 1,000. But you're not being disruptive. It's not going to take you.
Creating something new. There you have it from Leslie there, time on our side, but the passion, you can feel it in him as he speaks. Thank you for that. In terms of our parting words, we do hope to have another opportunity. Coming to Evangelista in just a minute, either you can respond to the question or give us your parting words.
Okay, I think I'll respond to the question about bribing. From my own perspective, you don't need to bribe someone. Just figure out your niche market and work on that. And then for the parting words, I'll say, do not act rich when you're broke. Because
don't act rich when you're broke.
Startups, entrepreneurs, when they get a bit of cash, they start acting rich. And then within 2 months, the business is broke. We don't want that. Let's build Zimbabwe together.
Awesome. There you have it from Evangelista Kuda. Any response to the questions or your parting words?
Yeah, look, I'm controversial enough, and if I start bribing people, they'll hold it over my head for some reason. So I say, always behave how you want to. Or start how you want to finish. And I think stay away from the bribery, some of the negative stuff that's really messed up our country. I think we need to have some strong ethics and truthfulness in the way that we operate in our businesses. And as my parting shot, I'm very inspired by Ngumales and Vigilista and Simba, smart people in this panel. We're in a very difficult country. It's the Wild West. It's extremely, anyone can tell you the complaints that we can all go on Twitter and say today, but within this madness, there is amazing people and there's amazing things that we can actually do together for this nation. So let's not be afraid. It's the Wild West. The Americans, the men who built America built it in chaos like this. And I think we have an opportunity as young people, I still call myself young, weirdly enough, but as young people, to build this nation, even in the chaos that it is, to make it the great nation that it's supposed to be.
Excellent. And then last but not least, Simba there, any response to the questions and also your parting?
I think the one about the bribery, that's definitely out. If you're going to start a business, do it properly, play by the rules, pay the taxman. Because especially if you want to go raise finance, you can't have that hanging over it. Don't cut corners. If you're not prepared to do that, don't do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The other question was to do with lobbying, for example. Yes. Not everyone can walk into Mtuli's office.
Absolutely.
Right? Maybe
not everyone can walk up to the Russian president.
Yeah. Okay, from Mtuli's office, my experience with him is I went to his office so many times I used to fall asleep on the couch by the reception. The reception, they don't let you go into the, panic guard paper. And they had to let me in, and I had to be very nice and speak to the other guys. And, they basically got fatigued of seeing my face. Yes. But not everybody can do that, right? Sometimes it's not about lobbying. It's about operating in the environment that you're presented. That is what entrepreneurship is.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Right. Secondly, if it comes to my parting shots, it is okay to work for someone. Not everyone must become an entrepreneur. Wow. Just because our employment rate is 90%, right, doesn't mean that we may start 90 out of 100, we must start 90 businesses. We must just start 10, 20 that will employ the rest of the 90 people.
Amen.
It's okay to work for someone.
Work for someone else, and also it's okay to work for yourself by starting and running your own businesses. Time is never on our side, especially when it starts getting heated up, but this is it in terms of today, an exciting panel ahead. The heat was going up and up and up, and just when we're getting excited, time decides, it's time up. But that speaks to continuity of the series, continuity of Frankly Speaking. We're just getting started and we need more of this. So many nuggets that I picked today. Just start, take the risk, take the plunge, dive in, start small, start with confusion, start in a crazy way. But I think it's one thing I just got is just start. The time is always right to do the right thing. And my closing words are, I think from this I got that entrepreneurship is doing what other people won't for the first few years so that later you can do what other people can't because you set up your business empire. And also, the last thing I got from this panel was, actually, you don't need money to start a business, but you need to start a business to make money and earn a living. This is it. It's always, it's been a stupendous and amazing platform. So much to say, so little said, but it has to come to an end because part of the essence of entrepreneurship is time. Can you be timely out there in terms of your product and so on and so forth? So from the amazing team that you never get to see behind the scenes, from this amazing panel, some of them, I'd seen them on social media, but now I see them face to face, it's different. So now they can pick my phone when I call, because now they know me. And also from all the people that have been watching, joining us from across the globe, and from myself, of course, the juggernaut, I'm out. And this is a